Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Ryan Day, the Ohio State Buckeyes, continue to roll on the recruiting trail, landing another commitment. This one coming from four-star wide receiver Quincy Porter from the state of New Jersey. And Quincy Porter is a guy that we talked about earlier this morning, expected to take an official visit to Michigan this weekend, committing to Ohio State Friday afternoon. And the Michigan fans know this. We kind of talked about it earlier this morning. And as a Michigan fan myself, I'll just say this. I think Ohio State is getting a very high upside wide receiver that has so many different ways that he can attack opposing defenses, right? 6'3", 190 pounds with a track and field background. This is a wide receiver that can operate attacking the deeper third vertically down the field. That really thrives in those contested catch situations. But what kind of elevates Quincy Porter, at least in my mind, is his ability to create separation in his route trees as well. Normally, when you're getting a 6'3", 200-pound wide receiver with the track and field background, they are kind of one-trick ponies in terms of attacking vertically down the field. You turn on the film with a guy in Quincy Porter, gets in and out of his breaks extremely well, can manufacture separation against opposing defensive backs, and then when he gets that football in space, he is an absolute bear after the catch in terms of defensive backs trying to tackle him. I really do like the upside to a guy in Quincy Porter. And even as a Michigan fan, it is hard to argue with a guy with all this upside at the wide receiver position not going to Ohio State to get developed by Brian Hartline in that Ohio State offense. Want to get into the film, talk about what Quincy Porter brings to this Ohio State program. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. And y'all know I love talking the recruiting trail, especially in these summer months. The amount of support you guys have shown the fellas checking out recruiting episodes in the middle of June, it means a lot. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Quincy Porter. And again, I think it starts with just the physical traits that this kid has, right? 6'3", 190 plus pounds. You don't see many wide receivers with this frame coming out of high school, but especially you don't see many wide receivers with the movement skills and patterns that Quincy Porter has with his size. And you turn on the film and it doesn't take you very long. And we know Brian Hartline is very selective in terms of the wide receivers that he decides to go after on the high school recruiting trail. A lot to like about Quincy Porter. Again, can work vertically down the field. We're going to see plenty of examples of that. Really good release off the line of scrimmage, creating separation coming back to the quarterback, using that big frame and kind of boxing out defensive backs. This is what I love about Quincy Porter. I mean, what he does after the catch, you don't really associate guys who are 6'3", 200 pounds to be after the catch weapons, and Quincy Porter can be that guy. Now, this shouldn't really come as a surprise. Nice back shoulder fade, him making a play, combat catch situation. You kind of know what you're getting with Quincy Porter in terms of the body control and the physicality at the catch point. Again, you run this one back at stretching the defensive back vertically, coming out of his break, getting back to the quarterback, again, creating separation for somebody that's 6'3", 190 pounds, really impressive. And then what he does after the catch. I mean, this is a guy, kind of reminds you of Drake London at USC a couple of years ago in terms of just being a bear for opposing defensive backs to try to bring down. And then you get a guy that, I mean, one, good release off the line of scrimmage. Two, he has a track and field background. And so you start combining track and field background with being 6'3", 190. He can just run right by defensive backs to attacking that deeper third. If you do not have a safety over top of Quincy Porter, you're going to get burned. Really, really fluid in terms of tracking the football in the air, shows comfortability doing that, dealing with a little press coverage here. Good release off the line of scrimmage, using that big physical frame at the catch point. I think on this film, you're starting to understand just the different ways that Quincy Porter can operate. And even when you get a safety over the top here, it really doesn't matter. It's a heck of a ball by that quarterback. I mean, a lot of different ways you can get Quincy Porter involved in the offense. Red zone target, that's for sure. Attacking the deeper third, tracking the football. I mean, this kid's just a box checker with big-time upside at the wide receiver position. And you take a look at Ohio State, what they're doing in the 2025 class, and we kind of talked about it. Ohio State might be knocking on the door of a recruiting record in terms of the amount of talent that they're acquiring in this 2025 class. You have the number 2 player in the country, the number 2 quarterback in Tavian St. Clair. Now you can use that quarterback to kind of, if you needed any more to sell in terms of recruiting Ohio State wide receivers, you have an elite quarterback that coming behind guys like Aaron Nolan and Julian Saint. I mean, the quarterback room is going to be very good. You obviously trust Brian Hartline and Ryan Day to develop some of these wide receivers. And I mean, Quincy Porter, kind of that first top 100 national prospect at the wide receiver position, committed to Ohio State. You make no mistake about it. Ohio State's certainly not done in the wide receiver room. You have guys like DeCorian Moore. You have guys like Vernell Brown or Jamie French. When you are Ohio State and you have the track record that they do in terms of developing wide receivers, you are swinging a massive sword on the recruiting trail as it pertains to wide receivers. I would be very surprised if those 3 wide receivers that we didn't just mention, DeCorian Moore, Vernell Brown, or Jamie French, at least one of those guys probably coming to Ohio State. I think there's certainly a chance 2 or 3 of those guys end up committing to Ohio State. Kind of interested to see the direction that Ohio State decides to go in the wide receiver room, but another massive commitment for Ohio State. Again, as a Michigan fan, very familiar with this kid. I think Ohio State gets a good one here. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.